Stevie Richards. 5 worst wrestling games ever. I ain't know Steve Richards in there video games, but see what his list is.
So hyped up, so much promise. I feel bad for Kenny Omega. So, the number one worst game that I've ever played is WCW Backstage Assault, where they said,
Oh, I remember that.
why do we have a wrestling ring in a wrestling game? Let's let them fight backstage and that's it. And I know there's some people that have an affinity for this game, but it's absolutely terrible.
Does Vince Russo have an affinity for this game, considering it's the only game he's a playable character in?
I don't think he knows.
Didn't know he was in there.
He's not much of a gamer. I'm not sure. I have to bring that up to him. Number 2, WCW Wrestling for Nintendo, for the NES, as you said, from
that wasn't that good.
Late 80s, early 90s. It had some...
That was kind of a classic. I remember that. I think that came out like after. It reminded me of the old Nintendo Pro Wrestling game. So I did talked about that the other day. So I remember this one. When the game started, you hear, I wish we knew who that commentator was. He's like, World Championship Wrestling! I don't know about that. It wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad. It was rough, actually. I think it was only WCW game for Nintendo, I think. I don't think that was that bad.
Innovation, but it played terrible. When you compared it to a game that I have in my top 5, which was also on Nintendo, and also I spent a lot of quarters in the arcade playing this game. Number 3, here we go. This is going to be the clickbait title right here. AEW Fight Forever.
Can't
so
say.
Hyped up, so much promise.
Never
I
played
feel
it.
bad for Kenny Omega. Because I know what it's like to put your heart in the soul. I worked with Retromania Wrestling. Maybe.
Yeah, I heard it's supposed to be like they keep saying it's supposed to be like the N64 No Mercy or game or whatever. I never played it, and I heard it's like I keep forgetting about it. Gotta get it soon. So I keep hearing people say they don't like it. Some people like it, and it's dirt cheap now. So I gotta pick it up and see. But I don't know. I can't say it's garbage because I never played it.
Not even to the extent that Kenny did. This game was late, was severely over budget, and fell way short. Now, the people that make the games, like there's always somebody that makes a game or makes a video every year based on like video game glitches like WWE 2K. I've seen those. Those are great. Where people disappear into the mat, people like, I don't know what they convulse all over each other. They're doing the Yeti hump against each other or whatever. And AEW Fight Forever had a ton of bugs. It's a terrible game, which you and I have talked about playing here on the show.
We talked about that for over a year. I remember you messaging me like at the end of last year saying we should totally do this, and we could never ever. We have like the complete polar opposite of whatever consoles we can play it on. It's like your Xbox, I'm PlayStation.
He's Stevie. Stevie, you're an Xboxer. Oh, Stevie. Damn, Stevie.
Well, I'll have to get a Steam Deck. Can we play online on that? On Steam Deck?
I have to check, but I think this is what I wish a lot of games would do crossplay. Like Call of Duty and other games, you can crossplay with PC. I think even some, like I played Star Trek Bridge Crew. That was crossplay with PC and PS4. So
I think
here we go.
Well, just before we get to number 2, number 3 again, AEW Fight Forever. Is it just the game-breaking bugs, or I've never played the game? How is it?
We never played it
just
either.
In general, let's say if everything's going right.
It just doesn't feel like a polished game. It doesn't feel like a finished game. The bugs and everything make it even worse. But for a game that was over budget and super delayed, it feels like it was rushed. That's all.
I remember getting pushed.
And like I said, people worked
back.
hard at it. Maybe they were. I think they weren't working off a new engine. They were trying to kind of reuse another engine. Like you said, the Aki engine, the Virtual Pro Wrestling engine, is what Kenny Omega wanted it to look like. But it just they would have been better off trying to get the Ukes engine and maximizing that, because it already had a lot of years with WWE to work out the bugs. You're looking something up.
I am looking something up. It's both ECW games at number 4.
Yep. both ECW games. These two are acclaimed games.
They're just
Which
like
was
Warzone. Yeah.
WWF had Warzone and other
Yeah.
things. And that's
Attitude,
really
yeah.
what these two games were. Remember the thing with this? The guy moving.
Oh, yeah,
like,
the choppy
you know,
hands. I remember that.
The guy going. Like yeah, that's what it was. And there's a lot of Easter eggs in the game that Danny Doring told me about. People screaming and saying stupid stuff just because the game was a total cluster to make.
Well, it was a total reskin of WWF Attitude, like both of them are.
And Warzone, those are the two games. So Attitude and the Warzone game, right?
Well, but Attitude, WWF
Attitude was not that
a bit of
bad.
an improvement on Warzone. At least it added like a load of new. I mean, the actual gameplay, I suppose, was really, really similar. It sort of worked a bit better, but at least Attitude had, entrances, or better entrances, and weapons, and game modes, and a better story mode. What Attitude didn't have in Warzone was Ahmed Johnson speaking into the microphones attached to probably the camera, so it was all
leave Ahmed alone now. Come on, now.
Intelligible than normal. Like no one can tell what he says.
And I think Doring or somebody did that in the game during their appeal thing where you do your like or whatever. They did that. The last one I show one backwards, but number 5. They're no particular order, by the way. They're all equally as bad in my opinion. TNA Impact. Not a good game. Just not a good game. TNA tried to do certain things.
Good.
But once again, I think TNA, we'll talk, we have an episode on TNA coming up in a future episode. There you go.
Take a shot.
Right.
How did Stevie not have the first WrestleMania game for NES on it? That was horrible. The first one, there was 2 of them. The WrestleMania Challenge was better, but that first one was horrible. And there was Tecmo Wrestling, which I never had. That was a good one. Gotta find that. And they had Steel Cage Challenge or so. I don't know. They had a bunch of games for Nintendo. And Pro Wrestling, he didn't have that on the list. That was a pretty good one. So it wasn't a waste. But that first WrestleMania game was terrible.
TNA just tried to do everything on a marketing level without investing the money that WWE invested in the marketing, like paper in the towns, radio shows, any kind of promotion or ads, and the video games and the action figures. They got the action figures right to a certain degree, but it was just, they acted like it was found money, I think, like guaranteed money, instead of saying, we really need to work and make this into something.
With the TNA game, there's 2 things I remember from it. I remember it looking pretty good. I don't think the graphics were that much of a problem. I just don't think it played very well. This is just me remembering back in the time. I also remember if you wanted to do story mode, you had to play as Suicide. You couldn't play as anyone else.
Yeah, and that was a good gimmick for the game. Because it was not going to survive. Yeah, I remember looking at it and saying this was good, but then the playability and the graphics, the collision detection, a lot of it. Now the funny thing was, I don't remember any real bugs standing out. I just remember it being a very bare bones game. I don't even know what engine they used. It actually looked like a mix between the Warzone engine and the N64 engine. Like they like amalgamated it.
Unreal Engine 3.
Really? Wow. They didn't really implement it all that well, did they?
Midway published that as well. And developed it. I do have to say,
And that Heroes of the Dell Ring used the same thing. Heroes of the Dell Ring.
I'm not a huge gamer. I'm not going to try everything. I mean, at the time, I didn't have the money to buy all the games, I'm sure, as well. But I would only buy something if I knew it had a fantastic rating. So really, all I've ever played are like AAA games for the most part.
Because that's IGN. If you get a high rating, then you're really going to buy it.
Yeah, exactly. If the game publishers have bought themselves a really good rating, then I'll consider it.
I don't really go by that, but I remember, I had those mags. I had that magazine and Game Pro. But back in the 90s, when it was mostly fighting games and stuff, I used to get, none of them were garbage, except for like, Lorenzo tried to warn me about Fatal Fury. Oh boy. and it was just the Sega version was better, but the Super Nintendo got they gave us the garbage version, so it was because the Sega version was more like Nintendo.
Which I do.
I
So
mean,
no,
like,
I never played the TNA.
You work yourself into a shooter.
Like the arcade, I
Yeah,
mean.
so the reason why I bought the game is because I wanted to support TNA. AJ, Joe, and Daniels were friends of mine, so I wanted to see what it looked like. And technically, that was their first game they were in, so of course I wanted to support my buddies.
But yeah, I can't comment on the AEW games. Never played it. They say it's terrible. I had to go. Now I got to go see what the review is. I keep hearing they say stay away from it. Stay away from it. So, I don't know. But if it's dirt cheap, it might be $10. I don't know, because I know it ain't $50 or $60 because that game is it's been out for over a year, so I know it ain't that expensive. I'm just gonna have to check it out and see.